training methods are at the heart of the Metamorphosis program. So before you dive into all the videos that walk you through how to do each of the methods in the program, I want to take a second here to just give you a quick overview of how they're going to work and what you need to be aware of. Now, the first thing here is the overall principle is what I call zone-based interval training. And that means you're going to have 3 different levels of those methods, which are really just 3 different levels of intensity. You've got your blue zone methods, which of course are your lowest intensity methods. They're often used for recovery and just building the overall volume. You've got your green zone, which are your more moderate intensity methods. And then you've got your red zone, which are your highest intensity methods. Now you'll also see some abbreviations here. Those relate to the energy system. So AP is alactic power, AC is lactic capacity. I'm going to the green zone here. Anaerobic threshold is the third one down. And then for the red, you've got lactic power, lactic capacity, and then also anaerobic threshold. So these are just, again, an overall way to look at which energy system is being targeted by that method. And if you haven't been through the energy systems part of the course yet, this will help explain what those are actually doing as well. So you'll want to make sure that part of this process will be dialing in your heart rates using the heart rate training to make sure that these intensities are what they need to be. Now, if you have Morpheus, I think I mentioned this, but if you have Morpheus, it's going to adjust these zones for you daily, and you don't have to do anything but make sure your max heart rate is in there accurately. If you don't have Morpheus and you're using some other heart rate monitor or some other heart rate monitoring system, then you're going to want to just use these recommended ranges in place of those zones. So your blue zone should be somewhere between 70 to 85% of your max. So you'd want to consider right around that 85% as the top of the blue zone, and then your bottom would be more around 70%. So if there's a method that says, for example, the high-low blue high-lows, you'd go up to whatever 85% of your max is for the high. You'd come down to around 70-75% of your heart rate zone, your max for the low. So again, if you have Morpheus, it makes these very easy because they're already built in, and you can actually use the training part of Morpheus for free, even if you haven't purchased the recovery HRV band to measure your recovery. So that is also an option. But you want to have some way of measuring what you're doing, and the heart rate system is going to be the best way to do that, whichever one you choose to use. Now, next up, your green zone. These are your moderate intensity methods, like I mentioned. Somewhere between 80 to 90% of your max is typically what these should be into. And a lot of times you'll see in the methods, it'll give you time ranges in terms of where in that zone you want to be and how long you want to be there for. So again, if you're not using Morpheus, you just give yourself that number based on your max heart rate, and you want to try to get yourself to that number as part of the method. And then of course, last but not least, your max heart rates, somewhere between 88, 90-ish, and all the way up to your maximum heart rate. So again, the whole point of using heart rate training is to dial in the intensity, because the methods span a range of intensities and a range of volumes. It's not just all high intensity or nothing. It is a broad range. And so these methods allow you to dial in that intensity depending on what we are trying to develop. So there are different intensities for each of the energy systems. There are different intensities in terms of progression, and you're going to use all of them across the entire Metamorphosis 8-week program. Now on the strength side, there are fewer methods. There's going to be 4 core different methods here that you're going to use. And really the goal here is just to help use the strength methods to build muscular endurance and then maintain your overall strength. Our goal here is not to build a ton of maximum strength. This is not that program, but we do want to maintain what you've already got. So the 4 key methods here are going to be tempo lifting, explosive repeat, which is a really good one for building that repetitive endurance, max effort, which is the heavier end of the game. We'll use that in very small amounts. And then the repetition method, which is just really basic, doing sets and reps at a moderate pace and a moderate volume and intensity range. So again, our strength methods here are meant to be complementary to the conditioning, to the heart rate training that you're doing. This is not a strength and power program. So the reality is the overall training volumes that you're going to be doing on the strength side will be relatively low. So if you have been following a more traditional strength training program, or your goal was to build muscle, or your goal was to increase strength or power, that's going to look quite a bit different than the strength in this program, because that is not the goal. And our biggest thing here is we have to have enough energy to train the conditioning side and to recover from it, so we can do it 4 to 6 days per week. And that means keeping those volumes of strength exercises on the lower end of the scale. And again, you might not be used to this. You might be used to doing 4 or 6 exercises or more every single workout, but this is a conditioning program. Our goal here is conditioning, not strength. And so that's why the overall volumes are low. And of course, you can scale them a bit up or down, but always prioritizing recovery. So now we've gone over the basic methods. Again, all the videos are below this, and you can walk through each and every one of them. You're not going to use each method each week, of course. And if you're in level 1, you're probably not going to use all the same methods, or you won't use all the same methods. They're in level 2 and vice versa. But these methods are highly versatile. These are the building blocks of every program I write, and understanding how to do them correctly will really give you an infinite opportunity to continue to progress as soon as Metamorphosis is over, and you can continue your conditioning and training journey far beyond this.